You are listening to the Workbench After Hours podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to the Second Amendment, where we talk about firearms, everything going on in the gun community, and we even try a different whiskey every week. Welcome to episode 124 of the Workbench After Hours podcast. It's been a minute since we did an episode. It's been a busy October, right?
Yes, it has.
Usually the summers are busy, but for us, it's been the fall because somebody over here decided he just had to up and move.
Yep.
So he's been dealing with that. What we're going to talk about was actually meant for a couple weeks ago, but we'll get caught up on some things and all that fun stuff. There's a lot going on. Obviously, I don't think we've posted since the hurricanes, right?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. So we got some stuff to talk about with that, and then obviously funny stuff with Kamala Harris because it's Kamala, and then some scary stuff that they did that might affect what our military can do towards citizens. And I think they did this with the election coming up.
Probably.
So this is pretty scary with what they can authorize the military to do. So we'll talk about all of that. Before we do, Chris, what do we got in front of us?
We got Chestnut Farms, I guess. I've never had this. I've seen it a couple of times.
Yep. So this is only available at Total Wine. It is specifically distilled for Total Wine, and it is actually distilled by the Barton 1792 distillery.
Okay.
So Barton's distills this stuff specifically for Total Wine. So that's why, like, I've had it with a buddy a while ago, and I remember it being good. I've been looking for it in liquor stores, but I can't. Turns out you can only find it at Total Wines. So unfortunately, if you don't have a Total Wine in your area, probably won't be able to find this. But if you do have one, check it out. Stuff's good. It's about $65 MSRP. They had a whole lot of bottles in there when I was looking at it. So on their website, it's listed as allocated. I don't know. The way Total Wine does their stuff is really weird.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's allocated, but then they have it at like 5 other stores.
Right. I don't know.
But they can't ship it to your store.
Right. And then they only have specific brands and stuff for their, which I guess is cool, but I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't think I've ever seen Buffalo Trace there.
No.
Like, I don't think they even carry it.
No, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
They don't carry. They carry some local stuff, but
yeah, most of it's like either their brand or your typical like JD, Jim Beam, that type of stuff.
So this is supposedly supposed to be pretty similar to Blanton's. So we'll see. It's been a minute since I've had Blanton's.
It doesn't smell like Blanton's.
Right. But yeah, this is going to have a lot of like vanilla.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of the vanilla, charred oak, your typical whiskey.
Yep. So this is a 6-year high rye, and it's distilled and aged in Bardstown, Kentucky.
Interesting.
Yeah, vanilla, caramel.
You get that spice. I can smell the rye.
Smell that high rye?
Yeah, I haven't had rye in a while.
It drinks like a rye.
Yep.
But that's pretty. It's pretty good though.
It is.
Oh boy.
Party foul.
Yep. All right, and we're back.
Yeah.
I knocked over my whole thing all over the keyboard and the table. Didn't seem like there was that much whiskey in there, but all of a sudden.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Anyway, like we were saying, it drinks and tastes like a rye. Yeah. I was going to look at the percentage. It's 45%, 90 proof.
90 proof.
Yes.
It's not too bad. Like, usually the rye, it's really on that backside, that real peppery, and it's like, oh. And it was kind of smoothish.
Did you hate pour me on this one?
Yeah. Had to make sure it was weighed down so you couldn't tip it over.
Right? Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't want to do that. You don't want to waste good whiskey.
Yeah.
Can't believe I did that. Anyway, it's good. It's pretty much got caramel, vanilla. Are you getting a little bit of cinnamon?
Yeah, cinnamon and pepper.
Yeah. And then obviously the rye spices. That's about it.
Yeah.
I would say medium finish.
Yeah, I don't think it tastes like Blanton's because of the rye.
Yeah.
Your Blanton's is more of your traditional whiskey, and it has more of like a banana note on the nose. Yeah.
But, I mean, it's good.
It's good for, yeah. I'd like to compare it to like Jack Daniel's, maybe. Their rye.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. I would definitely recommend it, especially if you like ryes and you can find it and if you got a Total Wine in your area. So it's pretty cool. I like the bottle. It's got that cool horse on there and stuff. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to pour any more in your glass?
I probably will.
Set it over here.
Yeah.
All right. So since Chris decided to move, we've been
Busy?
out of the podcast realm for a minute, but I've still been kind of keeping up with some stuff. Obviously, we had some hurricanes.
Yeah, lots of them.
2 of them specifically, and we'll get into that because we did an episode not that long ago about being prepared.
Yep.
Well, obviously in North Carolina, and you could have had all the preps you wanted, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't have done you any good because it would have been washed away.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that and FEMA's response and who to believe and all
There's
that
a
stuff.
lot of conspiracy theories on this.
There is. But I think it was the last episode we did a clip of Kamala Harris talking about, I think it was on The View or something, where she had mentioned that she had a Glock.
Oh, yeah.
And then that if she was a Glock owner, and then if anybody came into her house, they get shot, right?
Yep.
Right?
I remember that, yeah.
So that obviously caught a lot of attention on social media, just like everything else does these days. And so there was an interview she did with, I believe this is 60 Minutes. She's done a couple other ones, and they bring it up. And I just thought her response was funny. So we'll listen to her response on this real quick.
Recently surprised people when you said that you are a gun owner. And then if someone came into your
That
house,
was not the first time I've
They would get
talked
shot.
about it. That's not the first time I've talked about it.
so what kind of gun do you own and when and why did you get it?
I have a Glock, and I've had it for quite some time. I mean, look, Bill, my background is in law enforcement. So there you go.
Have you ever fired it?
Yes. Of course I have. At a shooting range. Yes, of course I have.
Kind of a silly question for him to ask, but
You ever shot it?
but notice it's a Glock.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, pretty sure if you have a Glock, you know the model, right?
Glock 19, Glock
think-
17.
I don't know.
43.
Is it really hers, or is it her, Secret Service detail
I
that
don't
has
know.
it or something? But she's all
Maybe.
we've gotten out of her. She owns a Glock.
Maybe she doesn't own it. She bought it illegally and she didn't do her background check. That's what we should
It
do.
was Hunter Biden's one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting. She's got a Glock.
Huh, that's crazy.
But I'd be interested to know what model.
Yeah.
I'm assuming a 19,
Yeah.
but who knows? Maybe it's an ex-police model, and obviously that's a 40 probably caliber. She could have a Glock 22. Who knows? But she owns a Glock.
And it's got a Glock switch and it's
yeah.
got a Glock magazine.
I would love to see her try and shoot.
Oh, I know.
I'm sure she is terrible. She probably teacups it.
Probably.
But so yeah, so
Or
there's-
she's saying it for publicity.
yeah, that's the most common known pistol. So
Yeah.
of course she's gonna say she owns a Glock.
A Glock.
She's not gonna be like, oh, I own a Smith and Wesson or a Springfield,
Yeah.
or a I don't know, a
Combat Wilson or
Wilson Combat or a Canic or whatever.
Yeah.
Man, the Canics, the TTI Combat that was up there, really cool. Man, they're actually on sale right now. Those and then the Rival, and then the TP9SF or whatever it was. The competition
Yeah.
models. Man, those things. I was looking at them because I get notifications of like stuff going on sale, and then like if they're on sale to the public, I also get that savings so we can pass that on to, customers. Like the Rivals were really good. I think we showcased that on an episode.
Yeah, I think we
at
did.
one point. And then the TP something, the other one that we've had on here too, and then the newer one, the TTI Combat, super awesome guns. You get a lot. I think right now, like the map price, the minimum advertised price that I can do is like $899.99 for the TTI Combat, which is a really good deal because they were going for like $1,200.
Yeah.
But the other ones, the Rival and that other one, is going for, man, they're like under $600 map prices. So you could find for that price. I mean, that's basically the price of a Glock.
Yeah.
And you get so much.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They're
And it's
competition ready.
and it has RMR cut. And
Yeah. So if you guys are looking for a good, I mean, and things are reliable. I really don't hear anything bad about those Canics.
God, don't tell me this.
Yeah. They're, my cost is obviously a lot less
Yeah.
than that. I'm like, man, I don't need one.
Yeah.
But, I was like, the Rivals, there's a black one, and then there was that gray one. I don't know. I mean, I like the TTI Combat, but hell, for the savings you get,
Yeah.
that Rival was pretty dang nice. I think Chris needs one. No, you need to get the Springfield 1911.
That's what I
we need.
really need. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you
my
need-
dream gun.
One of us needs a 1911 in our collection, even though I got one back there. That
Yeah.
technically belongs to the business. So
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, I could shoot it, but then I got to sell it used. I don't know.
I don't know.
So yeah, let us know if you guys have one of those Canics. Try them out. They look awesome. They feel awesome. And
Yeah.
you get a lot of bang for your buck with those. So they're on sale now. This week, I'm sure they're Black Friday's
Right around the corner.
right around the corner. So a lot of good sales there too. So I mean, I think $900 for that TTI Combat. That's a good deal.
Yeah.
I mean, the Pelican case that thing comes in, that was. I mean, they
Yeah.
did it right.
They did it right.
It's like, all right, Glock, stop coming out with another model that combines two of your models. Come out with something
New.
new.
I'd love for them to come out with their own like rifle.
Uh-huh.
Like a Glock rifle. That's like, oh, come on, just do it.
Even if it's an AR-15,
Yeah. Who
at
cares?
least they come out with something different.
Yeah.
Like, I know they're late. They're way late to the market on that, but
That'd be
a
pretty
Glock
badass.
AR-15 would be kind of cool. See what their spin on it is. But
Yeah.
I'm just sick of all these models that they're coming out because it's like nothing new. They
Yep.
just combine two models and call it something else, and it's like, all right,
It's a 5th gen, 6th gen, 7th gen.
yeah, stop it. Come out with something
Yeah.
nice. Gaston Glock passed away last year.
Yep.
You gotta do something for that. Like, come out
Yeah.
with something cool, innovative. Come out, even if it's like a competition gun, but have it set up to where you
Yeah.
don't have to put any money into it. Have like the slide cuts and all this stuff, the sights for it. Even if it's gonna be a little bit more expensive,
Yeah. Just
they-
something new.
Right.
Something
they have the
different.
competition models and they have the RMR cut and stuff like that, but it still just looks like any other Glock.
Yep.
Come out with something different.
Come out with something better.
Bolt action rifle would be cool. An AR, a pistol caliber carbine.
Yeah, that'd be pretty badass.
I mean, sky's the limit, guys. A shotgun, like a
Yeah.
Glock shotgun would be cool. So I
Yeah.
don't know. We'll see. I got a flyer in the mail the other day about SHOT Show. They're like, oh, this is your invitation to SHOT Show 2025. Man, it's tempting.
yeah.
Tempting. But I got to somehow make it look like you're an employee to get you in there.
That could be easy.
Yeah, sure we can make that happen somehow. Go in there as media too.
Yep.
But I think going in as a dealer,
Yeah.
I think the perks are a little bit better. But I don't know. We talk about it every year. We'll
Yeah.
see.
We
But it
need
would
to
be
just
nice.
do it.
It would be nice to see some innovative stuff and not just, oh look, we've changed a couple things and here's a new model.
Yeah.
Stop being boring. We need some new guns that the Democrats are scared of.
Yep.
Obviously, they're scared of Glocks and AR-15s, but man, a Glock AR-15 would be
I think
cool.
they're scared of
like,
every gun.
Like, and if Glock did something to where they came out with their AR-15 and did not use Magpul furniture, as much as I love Magpul, it's everybody's got it. Like,
Yeah.
come out with something different. Springfield and went with the Bravo company furniture, change it up a little bit, which I like. Come out with something different.
Yeah.
You maybe make your own furniture, stuff like that. Just don't. If they did come up with an AR-15, I don't want to see Magpul furniture.
Yeah.
I'm just sick of it. I mean, it works. It's great,
Yeah.
but
I don't know. I'd like to see them come out with some crazy grip that no one else has.
exactly.
Something different.
How hard could it be?
Yeah. I bet it's not.
Right?
Like, oh, we'll just get them this year on this one again.
I mean, they have the money. I know.
Yeah.
Testing and research is expensive, but obviously
Yeah.
they got the money. Stop coming out.
You
with
got
a-
enough consumers, they can tell you what they want.
Exactly.
Just put a
We
poll
want-
out there.
We want some sort of long gun from you, Glock.
Yeah. That's what we want.
Yeah, we're sick of these other pistols.
Yep.
Do
Come
something
out with
different.
something cool. Or come out with like a crazy single stack.
Right. Yeah. And like a 2011
Yeah.
too, a double stack. Or like their take on a 1911 would be
Yeah.
pretty cool. I don't know. They're in a polymer game though.
Yeah, they are.
Maybe they could come up with a polymer 1911. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
All right. So kind of sticking with the gun stuff, we have, we talked multiple times about the frames and receiver final rule that the ATF came out with and
Yeah.
how crazy and stupid it is. Unfortunately, that was kind of the reason Polymer 80 had to go out of business because of all that.
Yeah.
Well, a couple weeks ago now, the Supreme Court heard the frames and receivers case, and this is obviously going to affect the ghost guns or the builder kits on whether or not they have to go through FFLs and how that whole thing works. still up in the air, but they did hear the cases, and it's kind of hard to tell which way it's going to go. The attorney general for the government said that the cases that they made to define, how readily convertible things are. She basically compared it to IKEA furniture. She said she struggles to put together IKEA furniture, which totally agree with, but that she did not struggle with putting together a ghost gun kit, which I find hard to believe because you got to have the right tools.
That and precision. Like some of these things you got to be precise on.
Right.
So how is she getting that precise?
I don't know.
Unless she took it to like a machine shop. Hey, build this out for me.
Yes.
But most machine shops aren't going to do that.
I specifically stopped buying furniture from IKEA because it is a pain in the ass to put together.
Yeah.
That stuff is not readily convertible.
Yeah.
But the fact that they did that.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Hear that
Chinook.
military helicopter flying over us right now? They hear us talking about them.
Probably. They're going to drop in your ceiling area before too long.
I know. But so, and then they argued some other stuff like that too, like, the ready-made, pre-made meals that you can order, and then you just got to like throw them together. They're like, well, you can do that pretty quickly, and it's readily convertible, just like these frames and receivers. It's like, no, it's not. So the questions were really focused on readily convertible and what that is. The Attorney General said the ATF has always considered 8 hours as like a benchmark. So if you can make a gun in 8 hours, that makes it readily convertible.
8 hours, huh?
Yeah, that's what they said.
I'm pretty sure it'd probably take
Less than that.
Yeah.
I mean,
depending if you knew what you were doing. Like, let's say it was the first time let's say you bought an 80% or lower. Mm-hmm. I bet it would take you longer because you're going to be precise on it, want to make sure it's clean very well.
most of us, yeah.
And then the tools, make sure you have the right tools, which can be pricey.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, when we started building ARs, where it took us a while.
Yeah.
First, and that's back when you could watch YouTube videos and
Yeah.
take your time and watch, pause kind of a thing. Can't do that. I'm pretty sure they've taken down a lot of videos on these conversion kits too, to where you can't actually watch videos on how to do it. You got to find other ways, other platforms outside of YouTube. I know Rumble, you can probably still find that stuff on, but that's another thing. And then another question that was asked, which was interesting, is, if you can drill a hole in an AR and turn that into full auto, does that make it readily convertible as well? So then that's a whole nother thing that they're going into right now. And I'm not saying if I do or don't have a kit that does that, but really all it takes is a certain jig, and you just have to have a drill press. I mean, you could use a handheld drill, but drill press would be better. Yeah. And then as long as you so once you drill that hole, obviously drilling that hole, then, I mean, that's the illegal part right there. Once you drill that hole, you can get in a lot of trouble. But then as long as you have the full auto bolt carrier group, and then you have the right sear, you can turn an AR-15.
See, that's kind of crazy because
into a full auto
now you're getting
quick.
into like NFA items.
Yeah,
So-
but they're arguing that, hey, you can easily turn this AR-15 into a full auto. This should also fall under that readily, convertible thing, to where then, this is how we're going to ban AR-15s, because you can easily convert that to a full auto.
Yeah, but look at a Glock switch.
Yeah. I mean, that's another, I'm sure that was an argument too.
Yeah, because, there's a lot of things you can do.
Yeah.
So 8 hours, they're saying, all right, so let's look at the 3D printing world.
No
right?
overtime because it's the government. So, and Monday through Friday, no holidays.
Yeah.
That's why it's like, I don't know. It could go either way. We'll see what happens. The decision will come out in June at some point. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't know. I mean, I'd hate to say it, but I kind of see it both ways.
Yeah. I don't know.
And I'm totally for being able to build your gun, but it's not illegal to build your own firearm. Obviously, then you have to serialize it and stuff, but that also does make it easier for criminals to get these guns and commit these crimes. And obviously, they are using a lot of these type of guns, so it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, but you also run a risk, right? There's that risk factor. Like if you're doing it quick, not paying attention, this thing could blow up in your face or in your hand.
Yeah. Assumption of risk right there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I'd take my time.
So are you totally fine with keeping it legal for people to buy? Like,
Yeah, I can see where, yes, it can be a problem because of criminals. At that point, though, if you're selling this item, most of it's online. There's credit card records.
and that's how they were going after a lot of those.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think
What if
there's
they pay? I mean, a lot of people.
I think-
you could pay cash.
even if it being 80% complete, I think you probably should go through an FFL.
Yeah.
Because that's way more. Like, let's say if it was 50%, I'd probably be like,
What if you have just like a block, and and
you have to know what you're doing.
right? But I mean, 3D printers are coming along, and before you know it, I mean,
They are, but would you want an AR that is
Nope.
plastic
Nope.
receiver and all that?
nope. They
Or
have
up
some. They have some. I've seen them.
Yeah,
I've held them. They're nice because they're lightweight. But I would not. Again though, the lower receiver.
Doesn't take the heat. It's all
Exactly.
the upper.
Exactly. I still wouldn't want a plastic lower though.
Yeah.
Even though all the furniture is plastic,
Plastic,
but I don't know. It's the problem is criminals ruin it for everybody.
Yeah, they do.
It takes the few to ruin it for everybody. So thanks guys for this.
Yeah, because I don't know. Because, like,
At the end of the day,
at that point, let's say Glock, right? The frame is all modular. Anybody can scan that and start making their own and designing their own and print it out on 3D
right, you
printers.
could go buy plans online probably.
Yeah,
somewhere.
you can. They're subscription based, but I don't want to put my information in on a subscription base. So if they come back, take you down, now they got all your information too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like that's a tough one because it'd be cool for like hobby. Like since a lot of this stuff is for us that like doing it for a hobby. And we like to
then-
tinker on things. Like making your own grip would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Or your own modular frame for like a Glock.
But then also at that point, you gotta. At what point do you then become a manufacturer of weapons?
Exactly.
Because when the ATF,
That's what they should have asked. So at what point do you become a manufacturer and you need a manufacturing license?
it's a gray area because I have asked that because when I did my initial interview and then when they came and did my follow up, making sure everything was in line, I have taken some what came in as receivers and then I sold them and they went out of my log as complete rifles. And he said that's fine. You know, you can do one here and there. You just can't. There's no set number.
See, that's
the problem. There's no set number. So he's like, don't do a bunch. It's one thing if you buy, say, 20 builder kits, and then all the stuff, and then you're assembling that many. Okay, then at that point, I think you're a manufacturer. But if you're taking a builder kit here and there,
consider that a manufacturer. You didn't physically mill those parts,
but
You
you're
didn't put-
assembling the gun, though.
Yeah, but it's already serialized by that manufacturer.
Right.
So that manufacturer of that builder kit is the manufacturer. You're just assembling it.
Because when it comes in as it's considered a frame or receiver or other on the thing. And then once you put it together, then it's a
Complete
rifle or pistol, whatever way you go.
But I mean, it's just like made in America. All the parts are from overseas, but they assembled it here in America, and they can say it's made in America.
Right. I don't know. I just know there's there's no set.
Yeah.
Hey, you build this many in this amount of time, you're a manufacturer. Because once you become a manufacturer, you hit that. Oh man,
I think you'd have to be able to do so many within like a day. Like assemble completely, have it completely ready, fire, and ready to go.
what's that number?
What's a typical manufacturer? Let's say Aero Precision, for example. How long does it take them to build, let's say, an hour's worth of rifles? How many is that?
You know, they've stopped building full rifles. Because you used to be able to buy,
Yeah.
full, complete rifles, but now really it's just the parts. I mean, you could buy the uppers complete, lowers complete, but then
Do you think you could build 2 rifles in an hour?
no,
Okay.
because I mean,
So then if you can't build more than 2 rifles in an hour, then you're
I
gonna
mean,
that
2
ain't-
rifles in an hour. One would be one if
you'd have to know what you're having the tools, have it set up,
like
ready to go.
I could build one in a night in an evening. Like
Yeah.
start to finish, a complete AR-15 build. I can do that in an evening.
Yeah.
I'm taking my time also, and
Yeah.
but
But I look at the manufacturing process like an assembly line. You got to be able to quick.
yeah, but then that's also like, you're buying 20 receiver sets. You're buying 20
Yep.
pieces.
You
of
have to have them
furniture
all
and
ready to go. Have no issues assembling them.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a gray area. So
Yeah.
we'll eventually see what they say as far as that goes.
I mean, the Constitution doesn't say anything that you can't build your own gun. So
Exactly. It also says you can't have a full auto.
yeah, yeah. So
So we'll see
Yeah.
what happens. June. We'll see what happens coming around June. But yeah, some of the arguments was funny.
yeah, IKEA furniture. Get
Yeah.
the fuck out of
So
here.
unfortunately, that's in limbo. Unfortunately, Polymer 80 went out of business.
Yeah.
For the foreseeable future, we'll see what they decide to do. Like they said, they were coming back in some sort of way. Obviously, I'm sure they're probably going to wait until after June
Oh yeah.
and
See what the ruling is.
But yeah, and it also will probably depend who wins the election too.
Yep.
So a lot to
Crazy.
see there. So I know that's a little bit old news, but
Yeah.
hey, we're finally getting to sit down and talk about it. So thanks, Chris. Just kidding.
Yep.
All right, so going back now to the whole hurricane thing that we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
So obviously you had Hurricane Helene
Yep.
and Milton that came through. Helene was, I think, was the worst, obviously, because Florida,
Yeah.
you stick out in the ocean, you're gonna get that. It sucks, but I would love to move to Florida. Like, I want to move to Florida. I think you guys kind of want to move
Yeah,
in
we
that
live-
area,
I wanna
Carolina,
live in the
Georgia.
South, yeah.
However, since I do insurance during the day, I am like, that is a terrible idea because you get hurricanes and they're like, oh, this happens, once every 100 years. Not anymore. Like,
Yeah.
this is becoming pretty frequent. And obviously, my wife doesn't think about, homeowners insurance and the cost of that. She's
Yeah.
like, oh, we can buy this house. Can we afford it? I'm like, okay, well, most insurance companies have pulled out of Florida.
Yeah.
You got this one private company that writes it that who knows what's going to happen now with Milton. It's like, I don't know. I
don't know.
I'm like, I like the Atlantic side, but she's like, oh, I want to live on the Gulf side. Well, turns out,
Doesn't matter which side you
yeah,
live
you're
on.
kind of screwed either way. And like we said, you can prep all you want, but when it comes to like that flooding and devastation, I mean, unless you have like a multi-story house where you can move all your preps upstairs, I mean, you're kind of screwed. And unless you have home, your normal homeowner's insurance doesn't cover flooding, so you're screwed there. Whether it's a storm surge or just flooding, whatever, your homeowner's insurance doesn't cover that. If you're in a flood zone and you qualify, it's super expensive. You can only get it through FEMA.
Yeah.
And it's super expensive. I'm not exactly sure how they work. And I don't, like, they cover your house. I don't think they cover all of your personal property.
Probably not.
There were some stipulations there, kind of like earthquake insurance. Like, earthquake insurance is a lot different than your homeowner's insurance. There's a lot it doesn't cover.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, even though it's super expensive. And I don't know, I'm just like, man, with everything. And also, you have a lot of people moving down there right now, too.
Yeah.
And when we went down there recently and I rented a car and drove around, I'm like, man, this sucks.
Yeah.
Like, there are so many. Of course, it was like in the wintertime, so there's a lot of snowbirds down there. But, you do have a lot of old people down there, and they don't know how to. It rains a lot there.
That's their retirement, man.
I know, but you have road rage. You
Yeah.
would hate it because
Yeah.
you got everybody flying, and there's all of a sudden this one old lady that's just driving super slow, and
Yeah.
it caused wrecks. And then it rains a lot down there, and the road gets wet. They driving super
Yeah.
slow, but then you got everybody else driving super fast.
Yeah.
Like, after I had to drive down there and rent a car, I'm like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Like, it was that bad.
If you ever don't want to ever drive or live somewhere, just drive in Atlanta traffic.
Oh, I have.
Oh, I can't.
I have.
My anxiety and my road rage
So I
does not allow me to drive there.
I think it was Hurricane Andrew. I was deployed to I worked for an insurance. I was on the catastrophe team for an insurance company back then, and I was in. I basically had to work the whole state of Georgia. So I initially started in Milton, which is like the capital of Georgia. But I mean, I was all over the state. Finally, they sent me over to Savannah. Loved it.
I love
I'm
Savannah.
like, oh, I could. I don't know if I could live there. It's so humid.
It
Like,
is, but
I
it's so.
sweat a
I
lot.
love it. I love Savannah. Savannah's one of my favorite places.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like I love like those trees,
The
that they have
Spanish
out there.
moss and
Yeah,
everything.
those trees are
Oh,
awesome out
love
there.
it.
Love it. But then I'm like, got to deal with hurricanes.
Yep.
And like flooding sucks. It
Yeah.
ruins your shit, and most of the time not covered by insurance. And then especially like a lot of times you're not in a not flood zone.
Yeah.
So then you don't qualify for the flood insurance, and then you're just screwed.
Praying.
Right? Yeah, I don't know. But they're used to that. I mean, it happens. Now, North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee, you think you live in the Appalachian Mountains. Beautiful. Love
Yeah.
it. Love that area. I'd love to move there too. But shit, man, a lot of those people obviously didn't have flood insurance because you live in the mountains. Why do you need flood insurance, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've seen a lot of people saying, first of all, Asheville, North Carolina is the third largest lithium mine
Okay.
they can mine in the world. It's the third largest. They also have quartz or granite there, and it's like the largest in the world. The residents don't want them mining for it, which I don't blame them. That shit's fucking nasty shit.
Yeah,
There's a reason why we, yeah.
takes away the whole
Yeah.
ambiance of that
Yeah.
area.
Not only that, it's really bad for us. Like, there's a reason why we don't mine for that here in the U.S. But it's kind of weird that the town people are saying no, but other corporations and entities wanted this, and it happened there. And then, if you know anything about cloud seeding, it's like, whoa, that's kind of.
Do you believe in that?
Oh yeah,
Really?
yeah. Because I learned about it in, I can't remember one of my classes. I think it was Technology and Society class that I took. And they were talking about how they cloud seed over in the Middle East, where they got those long droughts, but they need to have some type of water. So cloud seed to have rainstorms, and they plant it.
See, I don't think that works because California could obviously use that
But we don't, here in the U.S., we don't
cloud seed.
know.
Then where does that come into play? If we don't do it here, technically, right?
Technically, yeah. Or so.
I don't know.
I mean,
How
but
do you
you're
think-
messing with Mother Nature at that point.
Yeah, the problem would happen in North Carolina and Eastern Tennessee is they got a lot of rain before this,
Yeah.
so their ground was already super saturated.
Yeah.
And then you get this hurricane that comes through, and it kind of just stalls over this area, dumps a shit ton of rain. I think they said like
Because the crazy thing is, you got to think about, like, let's say Colorado, for example, the Rockies. They get dumped with snow. Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard anything about flooding there?
yeah, it floods there.
Does it?
Not to that extent because
Yeah.
it's not a hurricane. I mean, what happens a lot in Colorado and now California is you go through a drought, you have forest fires,
Yep.
and then it rains. Well, guess what? You have a bunch of flooding now because it doesn't evaporate. It doesn't go into the soil. You have all these mudslides.
Yeah.
It's more mudslides than anything. I don't know. I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan over here, but
Yeah.
I don't. If cloud seeding was a thing and we could do it, why wouldn't we be doing that in the western part of this U.S. where we need
Yeah.
that? Like, if
I
that's
know.
something that's real,
Oh, it's real.
let's cloud seed over there.
Because I've seen videos of people asking, like, Alexa, like, what happened? And they said that someone put dry ice in the air to cause cloud seeding, and that's why it was so bad.
Yeah, but you literally saw a hurricane
Yeah.
go through that area. How does cloud seeding come?
They're
into play
saying that
there?
they're cloud seeding it even more, making it bigger than what it should have been.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's all.
It's just weird because, lithium's going to be the big thing for batteries in
Right,
cars.
right.
That's what they want to push. Renewable energy, that's not renewable. But just kind of weird that was the third largest lithium area where they could mine in the world. And
Well, here-
residents said no, and now all of a sudden it's devastated. No one can live there.
Well, and now major highways are fucked up there too.
Yeah.
So they kind of screwed themselves if that is the case.
Yeah.
So now you got to wait and rebuild these highways and these roads and stuff.
But if you've got a large enough corporation with a lot of this, they can do what they want.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's
It's
a
kinda-
stretch.
it is,
I get it, but you never know.
Yeah, you don't know. That's the thing. We probably won't find out until like 20, 30 years later.
But if cloud seeding is a thing and it can be done, why aren't we doing it out west?
Yeah, I think
Like we have it. It's October 17th. It hasn't rained here this month. Like we're in a drought. It's not expected to rain here this month.
yeah.
Let's cloud seed. I don't know what that involves or anything.
Yeah,
like that,
it's crazy.
but we have an election coming up.
Yep.
A lot of those people, if you're most places outside of a big city are
Republican.
exactly. Guess what's coming up? A huge election. And I'm kind of worried because all these people in remote areas, are they going to be able to vote?
I think they probably will.
You think?
Yeah.
You think that's on their mind?
Probably not on their mind, but they're going to.
Because especially with the roads closed and all this stuff.
There's got to be
Yeah,
a way
we have
for them to send.
we have a couple weeks, but are they going to be able to show up and vote? If you're somebody that literally lost everything, are you going to take the time and somehow get to somewhere you can
sure.
vote? Because a lot of the voting places are probably destroyed too.
Yeah.
So how are we going to get all these people in these rural areas that would have
They're
voted?
going to have some type of place for them to vote.
Because I don't know how many people were in this area if you include, Tennessee
Yeah.
and North Carolina, even South Carolina, and a lot of people without power. And now, obviously, there's a lot of flooding stuff going on in after Milton in Florida. Man, this could have a huge effect on the
Oh, it could.
election. And unfortunately, a lot of those voters are Republicans, so that could have we just got a huge disadvantage right there.
I don't think so. Camilla's burning her own hole.
Yeah, but there's so many people that just don't want
Oh,
Trump.
I know. But thing is, I still do not agree with our government. Like, this is a major disaster. We should be taking care of the United States first. It's our tax money. It should be going to the taxpayers to help them out.
Right.
It should not be going overseas to these other fucking countries. It should be staying here. We take care of ourselves first, then worry about others. And as us Americans, we should be recognizing what they're doing is wrong and putting an end to it and stopping it.
So you know where Kamala Harris was as Milton, or not Milton, the Helene happened?
LA.
Yeah. She was in LA doing a fundraiser
Yeah.
with all these A-listers and everything like that when people were literally losing everything. I mean,
Was she throwing a Diddy party?
hundreds of people died, right?
Yeah.
Right. A fundraiser to get him out of jail.
Yeah.
It's like you're running for president and a good area of the country is getting demolished
Yep.
and you're in LA doing a fundraiser. Fucking cancel that shit and
Yep.
go. I get you probably can't travel there, but
Oh, I'm sure she could.
do something like get on the phone. Start. They had a picture of her on the phone working hard with blank papers. Oh, she was working hard for us, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But you need to start mobilizing
Yep.
the National Guard, whatever, FEMA, to get them out there. A lot of people were pissed off because this happened over the weekend. They couldn't get a hold of anybody in FEMA because guess what? The government doesn't work on weekends.
The only time
no joke.
The only time you're going to see the government is every time you get your paycheck. Mm-hmm. That's the only time you see the government.
Yeah, they're gonna take half your pay.
Yeah. They're
Pisses
going
me
to
off.
tax the shit out of us.
And this is kind of where we're going with our next subject here. Kind of the same thing is with FEMA, and the government, especially the left side, is always, we'll take care of you. We're going to take care of you.
Yeah.
Trust us. Guess what? Guess who is not around? The government. The potential future president is in LA fundraising for her whatever. Not that she fucking needs it.
You also got to remember, she was not voted in to be even running in this election.
But she's still the vice president. She's currently the vice president.
Yeah, I know.
Why are you out there when
You should be helping.
millions of people are being affected by this? You need to be doing your job to make sure that these people are going to be able to have the resources to get together. And it's funny because, like I said, they say they're going to take care of us. They haven't been seen. It's changed now a little bit, and we'll talk about that. But really, who's been helping Americans are fellow Americans. It's the communities that were coming together. Churches and everything were helping people. A lot of the churches that didn't get destroyed were forming places where they were taking donations to where they can get the stuff to people that needed it and everything. So basically, fuck the government. Nobody could, I saw so many videos on YouTube. I was watching a lot of stuff a couple weeks ago on this stuff, and not a single government thing was there. It was literally communities helping people of that community.
See, that's how we should be. We got to remember, we're a republic. We're supposed to be in charge of the government. We're not a democracy. Democracy is where the government controls us. We do the Pledge of Allegiance, and it says, to the republic for which we stand. We are a republic. Get the democracy crap out of your mind, and remember, we are a republic. Because the government's not going to take care of you. That's probably the scariest words ever. Reagan said,
This is a great example.
Yeah.
Showing they're not going to help you. Oh, FEMA's closed because it's a weekend?
Yeah, get out of here.
Come on.
We need to really just take back America. Get rid of what we have in office right now, because they're not going to do anything for us. They haven't. If anything, they made everything worse.
They were so they were initially giving people $750.
Yeah, but how much did we
If
give
you-
Ukraine and all that over there? Billions?
If you literally lost everything, and we're not talking about the tornado where
Shit, they gave you more money during COVID.
I know we got what? No, we got 600, right?
I thought it was more than that.
Well, we don't have any kids, so
Yeah.
we got I think 600. You have kids, so you guys
you got more.
more. But yeah, you got more, and it was and you had to go online to fill this out. Well, guess what? They don't have access to get online to fill this stuff out. So how the hell, how are they going to know that they qualify for this? Because there's no internet, there's no power. So this $750 you could potentially get, how the fuck are you going to know you're going to get that? And then $750, you lost everything.
Yeah.
You got to go buy, just
Basic essentials.
basic personal hygiene stuff. You got to buy new clothes. $750 isn't going to get you very far. Also, where are you going to go buy the stuff? Because
Everything's gone. in that
exactly,
area. Yeah,
everything's gone. You can't get gas. What is that going to
I think
do?
at this point, a lot of these.
You can't online bank because you don't have internet.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
That was the worst thing. And then, of course, that was a huge deal. And then Biden's like, oh, no, we're not just giving these people. That's just an initial thing. They're going to qualify for. No, they're not.
No.
You can argue all you want that's.
We need to hold the government accountable of where our money is going. They need to quit spending it on the stupid shit they are by giving it to other countries that really don't need it. Our country comes first. It's our money that we're putting in. It's our work. It's our lives that we're doing. We should have a decision on where that money and that funding goes. Because I don't want it going to another country right now. I'd rather it be rebuilding all them. Getting them back.
You know how much money that's going to take to rebuild? A lot.
Probably as much money as we spent to Ukraine.
Yeah, because you got roadways, highways, entire town that is.
You
Going
got to rebuild infrastructures.
billions of dollars.
Yeah, and how much did we send over there?
Exactly. And then the whole thing came out, and now they've changed their stance. But it was initially that FEMA came out saying that they don't have enough money to fund the hurricane season.
Yeah,
That's the whole point of FEMA.
it's crazy too. I'm always job postings and stuff. Mm-hmm. I probably get every day 4 or 5 openings for FEMA.
Oh yeah.
So where the fuck is this money going?
I've been on certain inspections after hurricane with at the same time a FEMA person came up, I mean, they're just somebody that it's almost like similar to an Amazon driver. Like
Probably.
anybody can do it. Like, and most of the time, you know, as it sucked because I couldn't cover anything because the homeowner's insurance didn't cover flooding. Well, guess what also wasn't helping? FEMA. A lot of the people that, you know, we had to deny, and basically they had to have our denial letter to provide FEMA showing, hey, our homeowner's insurance didn't cover this. But then if you made X amount of dollars, you don't qualify. Okay, so I make this much. It doesn't mean I have this much money to fix my house. Like everybody, like majority of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck right now. Like we don't have $50,000 to rebuild our first level.
Half of our freaking paycheck is going to taxes. The other half is going to just to make us live.
Yeah.
And hopefully we're putting money away to save, but half the time we can't because food and all that.
Exactly. So I mean, most of these people that were affected and don't have help from insurance or FEMA, I mean, they don't have the. What do you do at that point? Your mortgage company is still going to want payment.
Yep.
But your entire house is destroyed.
Yep. There's no place for you to go.
Yeah, you can't rebuild because you don't have any money saved. FEMA's not going to help you.
Mm-hmm.
So, because you know the whole FEMA thing made such a ruckus, they actually on their website hurricane rumor response page.
Oh God!
This is something completely new, but they obviously have now Hurricane Helene and the other one on here. But basically, they had to come out with all this stuff, and honestly, I don't believe this.
I don't either.
Like, yeah, they have all these debunk these rumors and stuff. I don't believe this at all.
It's the government.
FEMA will automatically provide you $1,200 if you've been without power for 24 hours. Misleading statement. FEMA will only provide $750 to disaster survivors to support their recovery. This is false. This is a type of assistance that you may be approved for soon after you apply. Again, maybe, probably not. It is an upfront, flexible payment to help cover essential items like food, water, baby, which you can't get.
Yeah.
Again, and obviously they say it's not a loan, but again, these people are without power. How are they going to apply? How do you go online? Thankfully, we have Starlink, him showing up, you know, with that. I actually looked into seeing how much Starlink is. It's expensive, but I think he was helping. I think a lot of these people don't have to pay for that, but
It's nuts.
it's funny that they updated this on, a lot of this was
The 9th of October.
October 9th,
13th.
13th. Yeah, so recently, I don't believe this. They're just trying to save face.
Yeah, that's all they're doing. Well,
Yeah.
You heard that they were going like door to door.
Like, if
People were like showing up, answering the door, like, get off my property or I'll shoot and kill you. You're not doing anything for me. Get off.
There was a lot of that, and they actually had to evacuate a lot of the FEMA people.
Yep.
Which, don't do that.
Nope.
Don't do that.
But I
yeah.
mean, if they're not going to give you any help, what are they doing there? Wasting your time
but
and our tax-paying money.
you know, FEMA's like, oh, all this stuff is false. All this is, you know, I'm not going to believe you. I'm going to believe the people that I'm watching,
Yeah.
you know, online. They're
Suffer.
posting videos actually on the ground, and guess what? I don't see a single government official, anybody.
No, it's
FEMA.
crazy.
Weird. But then you're like, oh, all this stuff, information is false, huh? You know, everybody, a lot of people nowadays have social media, whether it's TikTok, YouTube, whatever. More and more stuff's being posted, and they're showing unedited footage, and
Good luck.
you don't see any government around.
Yep.
You see a lot of people like the Bikes and Beards guy that I like to watch. He bought a bunch of stuff and brought it. He tried to bring it further in, but then couldn't because of the road. So they were bringing stuff to churches. Mr. Guns and Gears doing a bunch of stuff like that too. Gun channels, like all these American people and communities are coming together, and a lot of the churches are like drop off donation sites, and then they're getting it to the people as they can. And there's so much of that, which is good because you know, in today's society, everybody hates everybody.
What I'd like to see is like Goodwill, Savers, and all that. Just donate all their stuff. I mean, it's free to them anyways, right?
You would think.
Just donate it all to them.
I dropped off a bunch of stuff to Savers. Yesterday.
I drop off like 3 or 4 bag loads at a time.
Yeah, that's going to go on their shelves, and they're gonna
Try to make money off it.
Exactly.
Make a profit. But that's what I would like to see from like those places. I mean, it's free already for you. Donate some of your stuff. Donate half your store.
Yeah.
You're still going to make profit.
It was nice seeing all these communities and even like YouTube people coming together and donating a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And then, there was a lot of talk about, and, who do you believe? Probably going to believe the people on the ground versus the government. But there was a lot of stuff to where all these people were trying to bring in donations and everything and get the supplies to the people that needed it. But then they were being halted by government and stuff like that, saying, hey, you can't go in here.
That's crazy.
We need to leave this stuff with us. I'm
Yeah.
sure you'll distribute it. Yeah. So that was a big thing too.
That's when I wish I had like a helicopter and just fly right in, drop it off, fly it
Right.
out, you know?
Mr. Guns and Gear did a couple of video series where he went to this airport and this one lady was organizing all this stuff. And while he was there, everything was fine. But then when he left, she contacted him saying that they were shut down, saying that they can't deliver that. Like the government officials are going to take over that stuff and they're not allowed to.
That's
so then
wrong.
he started calling, asking questions, and finally that got resolved. But it's like, man, you got to be careful because the government's going to step in and say, hey, no, we're going to control what you
Yeah.
guys are donating and how we distribute that.
See,
and that
that's
never
wrong.
goes good.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
Like, they're not in control. We are.
Because guess what? They're going to, oh, hey, we have to feed our people doing this. We got to give our people
Yeah.
this while they help you
get
guys.
bent.
Yeah.
People that need it are the ones that were affected by it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, what's most likely they're going to do is send it to Ukraine or something. Some other
Oh,
country.
all this gas, we need it for our vehicles and
Yeah,
stuff like
get
that.
outta
There
here.
was a lot of that. And of course, FEMA is coming out saying, oh, all those rumors are false.
Yeah. Well, videos say otherwise.
Guess what? I'm gonna believe the people that were there. And
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not gonna believe FEMA, who initially came out saying we don't have the funds, and then they all of a sudden changed their story. Oh no, that wasn't true. We're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So we'll see. It sucks. Luckily, I don't think there's any more in the area right now.
I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, that back-to-back hurricanes like that, especially for Florida.
Yeah, that's terrible.
It was funny because after the first one, Ron DeSantis was like, hey, we were prepared. We were prepared for this because, we're Florida. So they got on top of it. He's like, Biden, you need to send all this aid to the areas that aren't prepared for this in Carolinas and Tennessee because they're not. You live in the Appalachians. You expect to freaking have a hurricane? No. So I know DeSantis caught some heat for that too, but it's like, dude. So speaking of the government and taking over stuff, we do have, like I said, that election coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, because we have a tyrannical government and they want to control everything, but also not help, people and stuff, right? There's something that recently came out. It was at the end of September is when this actually happened, but it's actually just now coming out to the public. It's a DOD directive. So this is what it is. It's 22 pages long. It went into effect at the end of September. And what it's basically doing, giving the DOD, and it says who this applies to and what it doesn't apply to. So it applies to basically any Department of Defense and its adversaries, basically. And you can read through this. We'll post a link to this down below. It says DOD intelligence and intelligence-related activities and defense intelligence component assistance to law enforcement agencies and other civil authorities. That's the title. It's a lengthy title. So essentially what this is doing is the Biden-Harris administration is authorizing military to use lethal force on Americans because they think there's going to be civil unrest after the election. So there's 22 pages of all of this that says, this applies to this doesn't apply to that. So-and-so has to approve this. But the scary thing that they did is under 3.3, section 3.3, levels of authority, subsection C.
Assistance in responding with assets with potential for lethality or the situation in which the reasonable, forcible that providing the requested assistance may involve the use of force that is likely to result in lethal force, including death or seriously bodily injuries. It also includes all supports to civilian law enforcement officials in situations where a confrontation between civilian law enforcement and a civilian individual or groups is reasonably anticipated. Such use of force must be in accordance with DoD 5210.56, potentially as further restricted based on the specifics of this request supported. And
So basically, what that means is, if there's another January 6th and there's civil unrest between the people and cops, law enforcement, if so and so approves this within the DoD, I forgot who they said it is, but if this gets approved, then the military has authorization to step in and could potentially use lethal force against citizens because there's civil unrest between citizens and law enforcement.
there's a problem with that.
Oh, you think?
There's a big problem with
You
that.
think?
Because
That's our whole Constitution and Second Amendment right there. That is why we have the Second Amendment.
Yep, it is. They're wanting you to have tyrannical government at that point.
Yeah. So, all of a sudden, so and so from the government just has to approve this, and then our military can go in and
Ooh.
kill people because
So-
there's a civil unrest.
I mean, most.
And you know why they did this?
Yeah, I know. But most people, when they take their oath, is to protect the Constitution of the United States against enemies, all foreign and domestic.
Which is, I'm interested to see if this were ever to be enacted, how
That
people of the military would respond. You would have some
You
that,
would.
hey, I have orders, got to follow orders.
Yeah, but
You were in the military. What do you think? I know you were Navy, but
we all
if
still.
say if you guys, and knowing your commanders and stuff like that, if you got an order that there's some civil unrest, but you have permission to kill civilians,
I'm not doing it.
well, how do you think?
Especially Americans.
How do you think? Like,
that's not allowed? Because at that point, you're wanting civil war to happen. Is the way I would look at it. They're wanting the civil war to break out.
right?
And at that point, our government, we're supposed to, the Constitution comes first. So now you just turned our government to a tyrannical government. Now I got to go back to my constitutional rights. And it's time to overthrow their government at that point.
Yeah. The fact that they put this together
It is ridiculous.
is scary,
Yeah.
and it.
Wow.
They obviously did this because they don't want another January 6th. But do you?
But the problem is, too, let's go back to COVID, right? Autonomous zones.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, you're saying that autonomous zone, we could have gone in there and just killed Americans?
Yeah,
Because at that point, there's
proper approval for this to be implemented.
who does it have to go through? That's where it would come down to. Is it the commander in chief, or is it? Because that's the thing you're gonna have to want to know.
Yeah, there's.
Because that's an iffy.
I forgot where it said, but somebody in the DoD has to basically approve this, chief of staff or somebody. I forgot what it is, but basically there's, hey,
That's crazy.
you got to approve this. In this government, they're
Yeah.
going to approve it. So essentially, in case there's some civil unrest after this election, Biden or Harris could request this to be put into effect, and then if approved, if there's some civil unrest between,
If that happens, it'll break into a civil war.
easily, yeah,
America will
But
never be the same.
it will
after
break
that.
into a civil war, but it's the government using our military against us.
Yep, and you're not allowed to do that.
That's what this whole thing is. That whole subsection C right there basically is because military isn't supposed to operate on
Yeah,
soil here,
no.
but this gives them approval to use lethal force in case there's a dispute between citizens and local law enforcement.
I mean, you're
the
supposed,
military can step in and
at that point, I don't know. That'd be, ooh. I know I wouldn't follow that order.
you
That-
wouldn't, but
no.
I'm sure there
Probably are people there that are scared.
hey, we follow orders. You
I mean, you are
they could
supposed
be
to
like,
follow
hey, if
orders
you don't
and
follow
point it over
orders,
you.
guess what? You're going to get court-martialed.
Okay,
Right.
so you're telling me I need to go against my constitution?
The Secretary of Defense may approve any of the type of requested permissible assistance described in paragraph 3.2.
So it's the Secretary of Defense.
Yeah, so yeah.
That's the first one.
Defense intelligence components may provide personnel to assist a federal department or agency, including a federal law enforcement agency, state or local law enforcement agencies, when lives are in danger, in response to a request for such assistance in accordance with the following approval authorities. And then it goes through all that stuff. But so basically, if they don't win, or if
They do win.
they do win, and there's a little bit of civil unrest because they cloud seeded
Yeah.
and kept people from voting, or they allowed immigrants to come in and vote
Or they
illegally,
Or they took a bunch of
and
dead
then we
voters.
get pissed off from it. They can activate our military to basically
That's-
kill us.
Ooh, that's crazy. That's scary.
Like, kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
It's only 27 pages, or no, 22 pages of
Jesus.
how they can activate our military against us. I wonder if they would have enacted this on
Oh, I'm sure they
January
probably would.
6th and how that would have gone.
Thing is, though, it was more loud and peaceful protest, right?
At what point does it become unpeaceful, though?
Yeah.
And then
What are
you
they?
have
Yeah.
to-
What's their definition of peaceful then?
I mean,
Because I've seen what.
like you said,
the left
autonomous
side-
zones, that is not peaceful.
No, they were killing people that were coming in, and that was Democrat.
And then you have, obviously, we have our military. What about the National Guard?
Yeah, I'm sure that'll all fall into National Guard, your weekend warriors.
Because unfortunately, the government doesn't know, but there's a lot of people that have their own militias, which are allowed by the
Constitution.
Constitution. They ain't gonna fly.
No,
So, see what happens.
America would never be the same if that happened.
Yeah, I mean, if our military started taking out civilians,
Yeah,
oh
with
my
use
God.
of deadly force. At that point,
Whoever made that order,
you
he
better.
got some explaining to do.
Yeah, because guess what the military has that we don't.
And that's what it's funny because way back when we talked about this, where Joe Biden says, "Oh, they always say the Second Amendment is to, keep the tyrannical government in check," and he's like, "You need F-16s and stuff like that."
Obviously, we don't, because you're coming out with this.
Yeah. So maybe before
needs
the
to be-
election,
yeah.
you should probably load up on some stuff, just like any election. Obviously, some gun sales and ammunition sales go up, but this might be the one.
Ooh,
This might be the one.
that's crazy.
If you don't have an AR-15, I would highly recommend getting one, just because unless people talk like this.
I've never heard about this.
This
is-
never made the news.
Yeah, that is.
The fact that the government can enact our military against civilians and a little bit of civil unrest against law enforcement.
Approved by Kathleen Hicks, the Deputy Secretary of Defense.
Guess what's not on mainstream media?
Yeah.
This.
That is scary.
Like I said, I will post a link to this
Yeah.
document in the description below so you guys can kind of read through it. It's like any government document, it's confusing, but
You gotta
that
read it
paragraph.
through it. That's
luckily,
scary.
Guns and Gadgets did a video on this recently, and I'm like, what the hell? And so I downloaded this, followed the link, and yeah, that subsection C under 3.3 levels of authority, subsection C, civil unrest between law enforcement and
It
civilians.
also says underneath there, too, provision of personnel to support response efforts for civilian disturbance, which may also require presidential authorization. DoD responds to chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and high-yield explosive incidents. So I wonder if this is more for like a bomb threat, and then they have the authority at that point.
Well, that's one of them.
Yeah.
So if there's that, but then
And then underneath that, it goes and talks about that.
yeah. So yeah, obviously, you want the military to get involved if there's a nuclear threat. But then C, subsection C, basically says, hey, if there's any dispute between law enforcement and civilians, we can step in and use lethal force against civilians. Hopefully, obviously, peaceful transfer of power happens no matter who wins.
Hopefully, we'll see.
But yeah, that was a big thing that came out recently that's not being talked about on the news. So
yeah,
maybe you guys should share that. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's something that needs to be talked about because it's a little bit of a paragraph.
Yeah,
that can really
like the first part of it's like, oh yeah, I understand that, and then you read that one, it's like, oh
yeah,
because it talks about like nuclear and explosives right before that, and then now it talks about that.
Yeah. So yeah.
And or any situation which reasonable. I almost wonder if it has to be.
It also
part of that because you got subpart A, then B, then C, but B talks about the chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, or highly yield explosive incidents.
It's kind of like reading an insurance policy, so which are confusing.
Yeah, and if or
right,
like,
But this is basically if this happens, it also includes support to civilian law enforcement officials in situations where a confrontation between civilian law enforcement and civilian individuals or groups is reasonably anticipated. They can enact this. Such use of force.
I mean, at that point, if you got law enforcement and you think it's that bad, they're gonna probably have SWAT already involved. I would think, right?
Right.
And if SWAT can't do anything, then it'd probably be military.
So do you go to National Guard first, or do you go to the actual military?
I don't know.
Because
it depends.
I am under the impression.
I would think it'd go law enforcement, SWAT, or whatever they have, like special.
Because I always thought our military cannot do anything on our soil, right? I mean, the National Guard can.
And domestic.
I mean, that's what you have the National Guard for. Yeah. Kind of incidents. I mean, that's
what it would have to be, unless they're going to do a fucking full-fledged air raid. Call the Air Force up, just bomb the shit out of the house and leave. You know,
I don't know.
And that's like third world shit right there.
I watched a movie last night, Two Guns, with Mark Wahlberg and Denzel Washington.
Yeah,
crazy shit. Kind of like this. So basically, you have an undercover DEA agent, and then you have an undercover Navy officer, or personnel, whatever, and then you have the CIA. Well, the CIA gets robbed of all this money, and then they go kill a bunch of people trying to find out who the hell stole their money, which I'm pretty sure the CIA is not able to operate on U.S. soil. Of course, this is Hollywood.
Yeah.
Again,
they
Hollywood.
do it a lot.
And I completely think this is true, is the CIA allows the cartels to operate. Because,
I could believe it.
Because that's, guess what? You got to have, they get they
work together.
Charge them money. Yeah. So guess what? The cartel pays the CIA. CIA gets all this money from the cartel for them to operate. I 100% think that's true.
See it. Yeah, I could see it. Yeah.
Maybe they favor one over the other, and they'll give secret, and they'll start a cartel war. But man,
I don't know. Some of these,
even though it's Hollywood,
like CIA and all that, I think there's some shady shit in some of those.
There's shady shit in
everything. Yeah.
I gotta actually travel to Dallas 2 weeks. Yeah, podcast has been kind of sporadic. It will continue to be throughout the month because he had his thing, and then I got so my wife's birthday is next Wednesday. We record on Wednesdays. My wife's birthday is next Wednesday, so obviously probably not gonna record. Maybe Thursday. We'll see. But then I'll be out of town. I'll be in Lewisville, Texas, all of the following week, the last week of October. Luckily, I'm like, oh man, I don't want to be out of town for voting. Luckily, I'll be back in town just in time to vote. So I'm going to go vote. And then I guarantee you we're not going to know that same night. There's no way.
There's no way. I'll be up all night.
I remember watching 2020 and even 2016. You just don't know. And it's like, because it's like, oh, we're leaning Democrat, but it's like, oh, hey, Republicans work, so we got to wait till we get off work and you go vote.
You're blue collar.
Yeah. So I don't know. As much as I want to watch it, I think I'm going to try to not watch it this year
Yeah.
because we're not. There's no way we're going to know
Yep.
until kind of like that. I remember as a kid when the whole George Bush
Oh, and Al Gore.
and Al Gore.
Yeah, and then
yeah,
recount.
yeah. So I'm like, I don't know. That something's going to happen.
Yep.
I don't know. Hopefully, fingers crossed, everything works out. They don't have to implement this whole thing that they came out with.
Yeah, that'd
And
be
we'll
scary.
be good. And we'll just focus on rebuilding the Carolinas and all those people affected. Because it's terrible. And the fact that has Biden even gone down there?
I don't think so.
Trump was there.
Yep.
And unfortunately, it's like, what can he do? Because he's not in office.
Yep.
So, yeah, he may have done it for
He can do something.
He may have done it for political reasons, but hey, instead of being the sitting vice president out in LA while this is happening, hey,
Yeah.
Trump, yeah, maybe he did it for a political reason, but hey, at least he's there, boots on the ground.
I think.
Where are you guys?
I think he cares more than what people want to give him credit for, and they
Yeah.
won't show that.
Oh yeah, like if you listen to him on the podcast with like Theo Vaughn that he did and stuff like that, he's a
Yep.
dude has his shit together. Like
Yeah, he
the fact that
cares.
he's never drank or smoked.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Insane. He says because his I think it was his uncle or somebody, Fred, was an alcoholic and told him to never drink. And I'm like, really? Like,
Yeah.
no, it's like he legit has never done that. And you can see it. It's like, huh.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he can eat McDonald's every meal
Yeah.
or something.
Maybe.
But kind of simmer down on some of the stuff.
I don't
But
know.
if
Have
you
you-
actually sit down with the guy and like listen to him, it's like, all right,
I watched something on YouTube. It was like a golf one, and they had Trump on there.
yeah.
It was like the coolest thing to see. Like he's asking questions, and they're talking and everything, sharing the cart, and
Nice.
this motherfucker was actually shooting well for his age. You're
Yeah.
like, holy smoke.
Well, he challenged Biden
yeah.
to a golf tournament.
Because I think he went with Chambeau on this, and he's won a lot of tournaments and stuff. But he's like, holy smokes, I didn't do anything for this scramble. President Trump did all the work for me.
Yeah. Hey.
It's like, dang.
Yeah. I mean, he golfs a lot, but hey,
Yeah.
I would not want to be that is one job I would not want to be the president because
I do and I don't.
it would be cool. I would love I thought about this. I'm like, how cool would it be if we got to like interview Trump? And I wouldn't want to make it political. I just want to get to know Trump as a person.
Know his story.
Like I don't care about what you're gonna do, all
Yeah.
this stuff. Like we know. Like I want to know.
His life.
I want to know Donald Trump.
Yeah, I want to know about his life, how he grew
Exactly.
up, how he was raised. Was he raised like on a silver platter? Did they make him work for things? That type of
So
thing.
there's a Netflix documentary, and with Netflix, obviously they
Yeah.
lean a certain way. He inherited a lot of it from his father, supposedly.
Yeah.
So his father was a real estate mogul, and he kind of grew up with that. So he did work a lot to build his own thing, but it wasn't like he started from nothing.
Yeah.
So he did have obviously help from his dad, and Trump has declared bankruptcy more than
Multiple times,
once.
yeah.
So obviously, I don't know, but it'd be like even away from the business, like him as like a human being,
Yeah.
kind of cool. But there's no way. The
Yeah.
fact that Theo Vaughn barely got him on, I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't think we'll ever.
Yeah.
Could you imagine him sitting between us and like
Oh my
Secret
God.
Service agents all around?
That'd be
like,
amazing.
Like that'd be badass.
It'd be
but
badass and nervous at the same time.
Somehow we need to convince because I guess his son Barron has been getting him ideas to do this. We need to. Hey Barron, we need to somehow get this out to Barron.
Yeah.
Get your. We'll travel.
Yeah.
I will totally travel.
Yeah, for that.
To Trump Tower to interview Trump.
Oh yeah, that'd be amazing.
Like I don't want to talk politics. Just
Know him, like learn about his. I think that'd be amazing.
yeah. Let's just go on a personal level. Like
Yeah.
I suck at golf. I don't want to talk about golf. I can't tell you anything about golf.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah, it'd be interesting. Like, what would like a question I would like to ask? Like, what did you want to be when you grew up? Did you ever thought you were going to be president? That'd be an amazing question to ask.
There's in that documentary from Netflix, there's Barbara Walters interviewed him when he was, I think it was in his 30s, like later 30s. And she was like, "Hey, would you run for president?" And he said, "Now is not the time.
Yep. Yeah.
Maybe someday, but
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
And it's
though.
like,
What persuaded you to run for presidency later in your life instead of earlier?
how did you know when the time was?
Yeah.
And be like, okay, so if you look at all the last sitting presidents, they age. Like you could see a noticeable
Oh yeah,
decline in age. Him, not so much.
Yeah.
Even Joe Biden. I mean, like if you look at Joe Biden,
Oh yeah.
2020 to now, I mean, there's a huge difference. Obama, obviously, even George Bush.
Yep.
Like all the sitting presidents.
But you got to think he's probably been through a lot of stressful, big events in his life at some point that it might not affect a whole country, but like I bet there was some like big business deals or something that he's done. So he understands stress. Like you got to think a lot of these politicians probably have never had to have that type of stress on them before.
Who do we talk to?
I don't know. That'd be awesome.
Who do we call?
I'd love to interview him.
Yeah. Let us know what you guys think on any of this, especially this, if you've heard of this DOD Directive 5240.01. If you haven't, look at it because it's
Yeah, it's a little interesting.
exactly, it could change things. So, if you guys are in the Kansas City area and are looking for firearms, check out boomsticktactical-.com. Not only on there do we have a link to some stuff that we have in stock. We have our transfer fees. So if you live in Kansas, we do $20 transfer fees. But also there's a little area there where you can leave us a message if you have anything to say, comment on, whatever. Do that. But, we do custom order. So if you live in Kansas City area, we can custom order any gun that if you don't have it in stock. So boomstick-tactical.com. Check it out. I cannot post a link in the description below because of YouTube and their guidelines and all that stuff. But check it out. So yeah, I mean, I like the whiskey. The whiskey was really good.
Yeah, it was.
Good enough for me to spill it all over the place.
Should have made you suck it up like college.
Yeah. If you want to check out the Shotgun Studio channel, you'll get some more information on how I've redone the...
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's
different.
Yes, it is. It is. So check that out, Shotgun Studio. And then if you like motorcycles, Rusted KC Moto, check out that channel as well. Coming up to the end of riding season, which sucks. So, if you guys have any questions, let us know in the comments. If you're listening on audio only, jump over to YouTube or go to boomstick-tactical.com and leave us a message. Chris?
Remember, this is a YouTube podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and tickle that bell. If you're listening on those other platforms, please hit that follow button. With that, everybody, have a good one.